What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Rec Nation. Listen, guys, we have some comments from Nick, Stu. Was it Stu? No, Nick and Semic. I think they're the same story, right? The SAS unit who went rogue to rescue their mate. I think this is the SAS rescue their own. It's about two SAS soldiers that get captured, and then the SAS carry out an unauthorized rescue mission. And this other one is kidnapping these SAS soldiers was a bad idea. I think this is the same story. Okay, so let's check this out. Let's see if this is the right video, guys. I'm going to be asking that a lot. And I don't mind revisiting the same story. Same stories that are told maybe differently, that have some more intel. Remember, I'm just going through these kind of sort of blindly and clicking. And I mean, all these things I'm clicking on are blowing my mind. So I'm learning as we go, guys. So just learn with me. And for those of you that are familiar with this, please enlighten me in the comment section. So without any further ado, let's do this thing. Ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go.
The British SAS, or Special Air Service, is one of the world's most elite special forces units, known for their bravery, skill, and precision. But what happens when orders go against their moral code? On September 19, 2005, in Basra, Iraq, two British SAS operators were in Iraq on a top-secret mission. The operators were identified only as Alpha 1 and Alpha 2. The country had been in turmoil since the US-led invasion in 2003, and the British military had been tasked with maintaining order in the southern city of Basra. Basra was originally proclaimed a beacon for post-war Iraq, a model of how to hand over control to the local population, but now it was a hotbed of insurgency. The SAS had spent weeks observing and infiltrating the Iraqi insurgent groups, which were gradually taking control of the police force that British soldiers were supposed to be working with to restore order. As Alpha 1 and Alpha 2 were finishing their surveillance mission, they were compromised by plainclothes Iraqi policemen. A scuffle ensued, and the SAS operators fired their weapons, wounding an Iraqi policeman. The SAS operators tried to escape, relying on their native garb for protection. But as they were leaving the area, they came upon an Iraqi police checkpoint and decided to try to talk their way out of an increasingly bad situation, but to no avail. They were captured and beaten by corrupt police officers sympathetic to hostile militia groups. The SAS operators stationed in Basra were in shock when they saw their fellow operators being paraded on Iraqi TV, charged with heinous crimes, and feared for their safety, especially given the brutalities of the factions fighting against the British forces. The likelihood of those operators surviving more than a few days was narrow at best. The SAS commander in charge of the unit realized that they needed to be rescued immediately, but his unit was too small, so he requested reinforcements from an SAS detachment 300 miles away. The operators equipped themselves with their gear and readied their submachine guns and C8 carbines before making their way towards a C-130 that was waiting for them. They eagerly prepared to move into action. However, when the SAS team requested permission from the superiors to launch the rescue mission, they were denied. The chain of command feared that any rescue attempt would lead to further casualties in a larger conflict with the insurgents.
No. You know, that's one thing that we all share. Any of those of us that have sworn the oath to whatever military, whatever country, you know, we don't leave people behind. That's not what we do. You know, that's not what we do, period. So you're like elite. Oh, that's just, oh man. could you imagine like being the high up, like the commander, and getting the orders from higher than you, be like, no, can't do it. That's when what do? You just I'm assuming for me, we're getting our dudes back. Regardless of cost, throw the whole budget at rescuing these folks. Rain down hell, get our people back. Period. I don't know really who was in charge at this time, in let's say military command, in the British Army, or the higher ups, but that is a absolute. It sucks because I get it. It's one of those things where like I understand, but agree to disagree. Like I see where you're coming from, but our people still need us. Our people still need us. Therefore, we will go. That is some bullshit. You know, if there's ever a time to break an order, it's then. Or do you, as a commander, just turn a blind eye? You're like, I'm not saying to do it, because I can't legally say to do it. But if you were to do it, I can give you a 24-hour window of me being oblivious. You know, one of those things. Oh man, that's some bullshit.
The officials in London were caught off guard, and their response was sluggish. The political climate in newly freed Iraq was unstable. Despite the commander's disbelief at the command, he warned his superior about the perilous situation of leaving the two men in captivity.
Yeah.
However, his plea fell on deaf ears as the general repeatedly overruled him. The commander realized that high command didn't care about the lives of his operators. He was furious, but he also knew that leaving his two people to the wolves was not an option. During that pivotal moment, the commander and his unit were confronted with a critical decision. The commander made the bold choice to disregard the orders. The SAS unit got on that C-130, decided to rescue their mates anyway. Minutes later, the C-130 took off. There was no going back. Once they reached the police station, they were aided by local officials and regular British Army officers. They tried to win the captives' release and resolve the situation peacefully, but every effort to gain permission to get through the gates was ignored. The mob grew around them, forcing them to leave. The armored vehicles were attacked with rocks and Molotov cocktails, and one had to be abandoned by its crew. The situation was getting worse by the hour. The SAS launched another rescue attempt with helicopter and mechanized infantry support. But this time they weren't so cordial. They slammed right through the walls of the police station with the help of the armored vehicles. The soldiers rushed out of the vehicles and swarmed the compound. The ear-splitting snap of flashbang grenades sounded in the air. Gunshots rang out as militants who raised their guns quickly fell. Upon entering the station, the SAS encountered a few frightened policemen who surrendered by raising their hands and then were disarmed and handcuffed. Initially, the rescue team was unable to locate the captive SAS operators and were concerned that they had been relocated once more. However, during another search of the compound, the task force discovered the two SAS operatives handcuffed inside a bathroom. Although they were bruised and unkempt, they were still alive. The SAS checked them and swiftly moved them out of the compound and into a waiting armored vehicle. The rest of the SAS unit quickly followed, and the armored column turned and sped away from the location and successfully made their way back to base. Alpha 1 and Alpha 2 were transported to a hospital for medical attention. Amidst the chaos, however, there were consequences. About 100 prisoners managed to escape, and the Iraqis demanded reparations for the destruction caused. News of the successful rescue raced up the chain of command, through the Ministry of Defense and eventually into the Prime Minister's office. As news of the incident reached the public, the authorities in charge became aware of their embarrassing situation. The thought of punishing the operators who had just been praised as heroes for rescuing their fellow British troops in Iraq, was too bitter to even consider. As a result, the higher-ups opted to authorize the rescue operation, even though they were aware that the mission had already been accomplished. This allowed them to save face and avoid punishing the rescuers, which would have been a bitter pill to swallow given their heroic efforts. Moreover, the government discovered that if they had attempted to impede the mission, the SAS leadership was ready to resign en masse. The British government paid millions of pounds in compensation to the Iraqi government, which included rebuilding the damaged police station. The incident sparked a political debate in the UK about the country's involvement in Iraq. Many people
You know what it is. You know what it is, and I'll say this, like, in that moment, it's some bullshit. You know, like, you do whatever you have to do to get your guys back. Doesn't matter. And your chain of command needs to support that wholeheartedly. Or they turn a blind eye. I'm like, you can't call for backup. You know, you're in this. If you get caught, deniability. If the mission is a success, yeah, sure, we'll sanction it. That's some bullshit, though. You know, okay, you had to pay, but it was a crooked police force. You know, like the terrorist infiltrated the police force. So what the hell? This right here on screen. Okay? This is demoralizing. I understand where these people are coming from. I guess I get it. You know, but I feel like on the boots on the ground level, your job, once you get there, it's not this big grand scheme that reeks of air conditioning, right? And oil prices and all this bullshit. It's your job is to get everyone that you go over there with back home. That's your job. That's the main job. That you focus on that. You keep it small. You keep it compartmentalized. You know, I get it. The higher up you go, the bigger the picture has to be. I understand that. You know, but this right here, it's a tough one for me. It's a tough one for me because, like, it doesn't matter who you are. If we're on the same team, I'm fighting for you and I'm going to get you back no matter what. No matter what. That's just how it is. That's the code. Whether you like it or not. And they were about to have, so, like, they just looked completely terrible in this moment. And it's not, and listen, this situation has not only happened in this one specific moment. It's happened a lot of times, right? But it's just, you know, you should get carte blanche when you're going to go rescue another American or another soldier, another fellow service member that's been captured. You do not leave someone there to get tortured, ever, 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 period. Bite me, period. You know, you get a blank check to go get them. So, anyway, sorry, rant over.
Criticized the government's decision to join the war, and the Basra rescue operation was seen as an example of the dangers and consequences of such actions. The SAS unit took a daring risk on that fateful day, staging a mutiny in order to rescue their mates. However, despite the risk, the decision was a calculated one that ultimately proved successful. And the SAS once again lived up to their motto of "Who dares wins."
Well, that's a great motto too.
But let us know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
That's an awesome video. You know, it's a shame. It's a shame that that this is like the exception. I feel like many times our governments leave the individual out to dry for political reasons that that make no fucking sense. And I just hate it. Like, you get the orders that reek of air conditioning that were thought of in some think tank that just, like, this makes absolutely no sense. And then those same people, like, oh, okay, your guys got captured. Well, it doesn't make sense to go get them. Like, what are you smoking? We're going to go get our guys because, listen, they're anyway. Oh my God. Okay, it's not turning into a podcast. This was an amazing story. This is an amazing story that these guys went to get their people. Hell yes. It's like, F everything. We're going to go get our dudes. And that's brotherhood right there to a T. That is what you fight for, is the brotherhood that you create. Nothing comes between the brothers, the brotherhoods, the ties you make there at all. It's code. And that supersedes everything else. Like, that's, if you're left behind and you're in pain or you're suffering, I'm coming to get you. That is the promise. But anyway, hope you guys like that. Let me know some more stories like this. I mean, they're everywhere, guys. Like this, these stories are everywhere. I know that we touched on the Gurkhas. I know that we touched on the SAS. Let me know some more. Maybe other global fighting forces, some stories about them. That way, I want to spread it around. I want to spread it around because there's a lot of legends, there's a lot of heroes out there, a lot of untold stories that I want to discover through this journey. This is a never-ending journey, pretty much. But anyway, much love, guys. Make sure you unplug and do something legendary. And I will see you all in the next video. Later, guys.